Perfect. And this is how savvy I am with computers, so thank you for telling me that. I'm here talking about our experience with Social Hi-Fi for the past 3 months. I'm representing Chima Dental Corporation, who owns about 18 locations at the moment, and they are all part of affiliation with Social Hi-Fi to do all the work on the internet presence and Facebook and Google and such.
Happy birthday. It's her birthday.
Thank you. Yes, it's my birthday. And I'm 24 today with a little dyslexia.
21.
Happy birthday, doctor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I just had to mute them out.
Yes, you guys are now muted out, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. So when I want to talk about our experience with them, I want to talk about where we were doing traditional marketing, and there's part of us that we're still doing traditional marketing even when we were trying Social Hi-Fi. And the reason being, fear dictates a lot of things. I didn't want to be like, oh, I just want to stop marketing, even if it meant stagnant growth, that I just walked away from it. I was a victim of that, and that's our own limitations. But Dr. Chima, being the leader of our whole unit, was the one who signed up with Social Hi-Fi, and we trust his decisions, so we went along with it to say, okay, let's see how this goes. It was brilliant. If you look at the second where the ad spend amount is, we had spent years and years of marketing on regular marketing through flyers, through mailers, newsletters, you name it. We were pretty much out there with all of that. What we experienced with that versus when you see the other side of that scale with when Social Hi-Fi came in is quite different. So we had growth stagnation, as the last graph there shows. We would get X amount of calls from when the mailers would go out, and then everything died down. And then the next mailer goes out, and then everything dies down. So it was something that had to just keep going with mailers, and we started to see what is the visible or what is the full ROI that we're getting on this? What is our return on investment on what we're putting out there? So I'm going to actually go over to what do we want to drive in? We want to drive in new patients. But what kind of patients do I want to see? Do I want to see patients who can't afford treatment or patients who never look at Invisalign and be able to talk to them about orthodontics? No, I want to be able to pull in patients that already have a built-in interest. They already have a need in place, and I want to recognize them. So I have already learned immensely this morning that when I think the universe is calling to me, it's actually Google. Because I keep seeing the same thing, and I'm like, oh my God, universe is telling me I got to do this. It's actually Google. Great. So when he talked about pulling people in, that's the universe calling into you. So you have repeat visibility of the same thing. So that's where I think that's powerful. And then with that being said, you start to see a return on your investment in that. And we'll go over that a little bit later. When we're talking about how Social Hi-Fi came in, we have an expert leader in dentistry, and I talked about him already. His name is Jasbir Chima. He is world-renowned for Invisalign for a reason. And the marketing segment of our business came to be where we felt like we needed a partner who was expert in their own field. So doctor went out and looked for an expert, and he found Shankar and his corporation as an expert in that field, which we were very happy about the fact that we don't have to handhold him through saying, can you do this? I don't know, for all of you that did any mailers, I get tired of viewing that email that says, doctor, can you approve this? No, I need to change this. Can you approve this now? I have a deadline tomorrow. Can you get back to me by 3 o'clock? Oh my God, it is stressful. So we were happy to be able to just pass it on to them. As a matter of fact, out of the 3 months that we are with you now, I didn't even think I got on the phone for the first 2 months with you. I didn't even connect with them to say, okay, well, doctor's doing this, so it's great. They have a comprehensive approach to marketing. They look at Google. They look at Facebook. They look at DoubleClick. They follow up on the ad. They modify it. I don't have time for that. I do dentistry best. I love doing dentistry, and that's what I want to do. I want to care for my patients. I want to provide them the best care, but I want Shankar to be able to let them know that I am there to provide the best care. I can't do necessarily everything on the marketing aspect. God knows I can't keep up with the evolution of Google, which I love. So I don't want to be a part of it. We love the fact that he puts out ads and he checks and says, nobody checked this out today. Let me revamp this. Let me change the words on this. Let me put something else out there. And he does that all on the back end. I don't have to worry about it. He checks it again. Is it working? Yes, it's working. It's not working. This is going great at this time of the day. This is going great at this time of the day. How many of us could really do that? That's where they came in, and we appreciate that. That's taken a lot off of our plates, and that's our marketing department now. So when we want to talk about marketing, we talk to Shankar. How this all adds up is, again, our bottom line. Bottom line is your profits, your conversions. I hear a few people asking about, hey, is this 0.1%? Is this 2%? Yeah, it depends what the initial number is, what your initial reach is. When we send out flyers, we send out, what, 50,000, 100,000. What do we get back? And how many of those actually convert into treatment? We don't know. I would actually have to put a special person in my office just for that job to say, hey, take that conversion, see every person that walked in from that flyer, did they actually start treatment? If they started treatment, did they just have me do a cleaning? I don't know. I don't know. I would have to really put someone in point for that. With Shankar, we already have that. I have a dashboard I can go on, and I can go look at those things. So when we talk about, and let me see if the next slide is actually, this is our ads that Shankar manages. These are some samples of the things that are out there. Again, it is a full service, which means that your website is handled. And how many of you can now say that you can make a website and never go back to it and make any changes and set it and forget about it? No, you can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore because Google says you're dead. If you are not growing and you are not evolving, you are dying in everything in life. If you are not growing, so that's business. If you are not growing, you're dying. There's only two ways about it. And how many different aspects of our life can we keep balance on? That's where social hi-fi comes in. So these are some of the sample ads that they run. Again, like I talked about, they go over what time it's going to go out, when it's going to go out, who my clients are, which would be the best place for them to go to. And then here we have some results to look at. So as you can see, it starts with a big funnel top, like he explained earlier, where I felt like the universe was reaching to me, and how it narrows down, and it tells you it's $60 per lead. Now, for some of you, it might be like, what? $60 per lead? What does that mean? To me, it means nothing. To me, it really doesn't mean anything. I love to see a body walking in that door that says, doctor, I'm here to help you. And I love it. I can help you. I can do this. When we talk about sales, I have no problem with that. And that's not everybody, but I have no problem with that. I just need a body to connect with. And I can establish that, and I can go from there. I have no issue with that. But I can't drive them in. That's not my talent. That's their talent. And in addition to this, after 2 to 2.5 months later, I decided, doctor, can you give me a login and a password to our dashboard? I didn't have that. I didn't request it. So I got on the dashboard, and wow, a whole multitude of things come out. How many of you have actually sat there and just listened to your front office answer phone calls? Yeah, it's an interesting experience.
We record them, I listen. Fast time, not right time.
Yeah, me neither. It makes good bedtime stories. So I went on there, and I used that as a team building and team training portal to say, hey, you guys, can you just go on there and listen to these calls? Because it's like a rough draft. I told them yesterday, it's a rough draft. That means when you write your first writing piece, you don't write it one time. You write it, you revise it, you write it, revise it until it sounds oh so beautiful and fluffy that you love it. And that's a training tool. And that's what we use a lot of. Another thing to do is somebody went on a party break and the phone was ringing. Okay, well now it's not ringing anymore. Guess what? It's registered. You have a phone number to call back at. There's a way to track. They track off of a phone number that they provide. That is a huge, huge benefit. And then if you wanted to catch up on numbers, and I told them if I would have actually known a little in advance, I didn't mind sharing numbers. I have people off of that list that have spent thousands and thousands of dollars, and I would love to share that. And I could go on there, and there's a slot for it that you can actually say, hey, this person generated this much revenue for me. And then you can track it and say, this is working or this is not working. Somebody earlier asked me, what does it take to, or what is the marketing budget? I don't get to decide that, thank you. Dr. Chima gets to decide that for us, and we trust him with it. But honestly, we know what our budgets is, we know. And I told someone I am the person who jumps in and learns how to swim, and I don't quit until I'm drowned. So everybody is different. I'm sure Shankar can highlight that. How many of you have signed up for services where you pay for it and then darn it, nobody picks up that damn phone? And there's an automatic person or message, leave a message, get a ticket number, and we'll get back to you. I can't stand that. I am so impatient. I think I am so impatient. When I call, who picks up the phone? Shankar picks up the phone. I love you for that. He picks up the phone and he talks just as fast as me, if not faster. And we schedule a time and we say, hey, can we make it 9:30? Yes, we can. As a matter of fact, the other day I got to talk to him and I said, give me an hour because I'm really slow with Google Learning. It's not dentistry. I go really slow with this kind of learning. And it was amazing that after about 20 minutes, I said, okay, stop. I've got enough to work on today. I'll call you back. Let's schedule for next week. And that was great. And it works. And these tools are very, very helpful if you want to use them. And by the way, you still have work to do on your end. They do a lot of this, but we still have patients that we can say, hey, could you write me a review? Could you take a video of that patient? Guess what? We internally have a lot of other things to do that they necessarily cannot do for us. So it's nice to have someone who helps. Perfect. Did I go through all my slides? Perfect. If you guys have any questions, I guess we'll have time for that, or if you have a question, I can.
So do you do any other marketing, or is this strictly?
For a while there, it's just social high five. But having said that, I believe a lot in presence. And you know this after being in practice for years, that when you make a presence in your community, you make a presence in people's lives, that's all marketing, but it's not worded marketing. But we can't get away from, I had my flyer lady come in to tell me, doctor, people are going to get tired of looking at all these ads and they're overwhelming and you should still do this. And I said, when's the last time I checked my mail? I don't. Yeah. I don't remember checking my mail. Anything else? Thank you guys for listening. Yes.
Have you discontinued sending out mail?
At the moment, yes. Did I discontinue in the last 3 months? 16 locations did. 16 did. And I'm glad that they did. And that's just, I think I mentioned to you earlier that it was not anything else. It was fear inside of me. That's my bread and butter. Dr. Chima has a vision, and that's why he's a leader, because they can see past all of the things that we stumble upon. And so, 16 did, and now it's all 18.
So one thing that I just want to chime in here is we talked kind of earlier, there's a question about impressions and how many impressions, click-through as a result of those impressions is good. Like, the way in which I look at mailers, right, is you're paying on a cost per impression basis. So you're going to pay, however much it is, to have 20,000 mailers go out to mailboxes in where your practice is. The thing is you have absolutely no idea what you're for those mailers. There's no way in which you have an understanding, or one, were these mailers even viewed? Two, is there any sort of action taken as a result of these mailers, unless you have some sort of coupon associated with it, which gets pretty advanced, as Dr. Sekhon was talking about. And specifically just manage. Okay,
I can see them. I can join, at least I can see them.
So what I was saying though is the great thing about it is with the DoubleClick or with Facebook, right? Those are basically your mailers, but in a digital format. The key difference being is you don't have to pay on a cost per impression basis. You have the ability to pay on a cost per click basis. So if you wanted to be like, hey, we want to absolutely blast the crap out, impressions, you could do that. And then you could say, because there's so much digital inventory, on DoubleClick, you could say, well, hey, I only want to pay 5 cents for that impression for this user in this area. What are the websites that they visit, or the 150 websites per day that they visit, in which we can hit them with that message, right? And then you don't necessarily, if you don't care about a click, then, okay, cool, you're paying probably less for an impression, but you absolutely know that the message was viewed, because with display, you only get charged if the full ad is above the fold on a website, right? If only half of your ad is showing, you're not going to be charged. So at least you have metrics behind the impressions, whereas in a traditional world, it's really just kind of like a spray and pray approach. And then if you wanted to, on the display network, on DoubleClick, if you wanted to say, hey, I only want to pay when someone clicks on my banner ad, you can have that as an option as well. So it's much different than that of a mailer, in which you're actually getting an action to your website, and you're paying for the action. You're not paying for the.
And not only that, and adding on to what they support with websites and ad making, they're all customized. They're not templates. I mean, I know when years ago websites first came out, I am guilty of having just a template website because everybody had to have a website, it seemed like. So can you just make me a website? And there it was. It's templated. Staff pictures are coming soon was probably like a decade. You know, so with them being able to customize those things adds a lot of value to the practice and your experience overall.
Yeah, oh, great question. So an impression is basically you're on a website and the ad is shown. So say, for example, you search for Nike, right? So what will happen is Nike will have a paid result at the top of the page, which has like site links to men's shoes, men's golf, whatever your interest may be, because Nike knows you as a user in your past search behavior. So you'll have the paid ad, and then you'll have the organic ad, which is .com. So the paid ad, when that's served, that's what's called an impression. So an impression is not necessarily an action to your website, but it's just basically your advertisement appearing, right? Yeah, OC. And so then depending on which platform you're utilizing dictates what's a good impression, what's a good, or an impression to click rate, which we call our click-through rate. So if it's on search, depending on what the search is, right? You know, we're going to say, hey, it's probably, you know, it should be around 1% of the people who see your ad should click on it. If you're on the display network, it's going to be far, far less than that. You know, it'll be like 0.5. So it all depends based upon the industry as well as solution that you're targeting. So we have, we'll talk more in depth about that later on.
So impression is like an exposure, I guess. It's easier to understand as an exposure.
Yeah, great way.
Yep. Thank you, guys.